Let's talk about how what age women men are taught to see as attractive harms men. As a man, watching who I find attractive change over time is super rewarding, grounding, and beautiful for me, and it just breaks my heart how our culture steals that from most men. Men have this idea that very young women, basically children, are the epitome of attractiveness shoved down our throats so hard that most guys never learn to see past it. And that's obviously super harmful to women in tons of ways. Easy to see, lots of people talking about that. I want to add how it impacts men, and beyond the harm that it causes everyone, just how tragic it is. In the same way that I am less mature than a 70-year-old, as a 38-year-old man, a 23-year-old is just a lot less mature than I am. That's no critique of them. They're doing exactly what they're supposed to be doing. That life stage of being in your teens and early 20s is about figuring out who you are. And that's healthy work that takes a lot of self-centeredness, self-absorption, and focus. Their communication is less developed. They're just in a different place. They could never see me or meet me in the way that a 30 or 40-year-old woman can, and the idea of them as any kind of potential partner, romantic or sexual, would just never cross my mind. I know that as a teacher, I learned that really clearly, that boundary and understanding, but it applies to everybody. When we, as men, continue to romantically and sexually idealize women who are not fully grown or mature by the standards of our own age, that becomes very dangerous. We're now trying to attract partners who are at a totally different life stage, one which is inherently selfish, often insecure, and kind of performative. And because we've idealized people in those life stages as partners, we become much more likely to behave and try to behave like teenagers or men in our early 20s. It was one thing for you as a man to be kind of self-absorbed at 17 or 23, but if you're now 27, 32, 45, 60, and you're still sexually idealizing basically children, you've locked yourself into a value set that you should have outgrown decades ago, and now you are restricting yourself. We're restricting our own growth and maturation by tying ourselves to an ideal that is inherently self-centered. This is guaranteed to make us less healthy, less balanced partners to people our own age, because we're comparing both ourselves and partners our own age to a fictional ideal that is in a much younger life stage than we are. Watching my wife earn laugh lines and buy ever more comfortable shoes is like the sexiest thing in the world to me. The women who catch my eye today move with a casual self-confidence, a graceful power, and a relaxation that 25-year-olds could only dream of because it comes with time. You have to earn it. They dress with a familiarity, comfort, and self-assurance that has just become incredibly hot to me over the last 10 years. Who I find attractive has changed because I have grown. And there is a powerfully educational, rewarding mirror in who I find attractive for me. A calm, steady woman with some silver in her hair and lines on her laughing face catches my eye, and I can see my own growth in that. That is how healthy people develop. Who we are attracted to changes as we age. And anyone for whom this is not true is carrying a wound that is hurting them and those close to them. A 30 or 40-year-old man who's still clinging to this idea that 18-year-olds are attractive is setting himself up for self-loathing. Healthy teenagers are not going to be attracted to him for the same reason that a healthy 40-year-old isn't attracted to teenagers. So he's either dating very wounded teenagers and wounding them further, or more likely, he's dating women closer to his age and thinking of himself as settling. He's thinking of himself as not being attractive or high value as he was at 18 or 25. Consciously or subconsciously, he's hating his body, hating his partner's body, because of this nonsensical kind of pedophilic lie. You start to see how this harms men? There is no amount of money you could offer me that would make me go back to my early 20s. I was a harmful, self-loathing mess. But I had more hair and abs, right? So I should dream of that, right? No, thank you. Man, I am happy now. You think I'm going to trade that for my old man bun and abs? My hard-earned happiness is a function of my growth, which is partially a function of my age. They're indistinguishable in my life. And that same growth is why I do not find teenagers attractive, and why I do find women my age and in the same life stage attractive. Mostly my wife, who's the hottest person I've ever known, not in spite of the fact that she's no longer in the culturally high-value aged woman bracket, but because she is no longer in that age and life stage. As Ani DeFranco said, if you're not getting happier as you're getting older, then you're fucking up. I know a lot of men who like to pretend this is biology. I don't have the time in the video to do a deep dive, but as a biology teacher, men trying to pretend that it's biology to stay attracted to children all their lives don't understand biology, advertising, or themselves at all. We're a communal species. We evolved in stable groups, and adult men idealizing imbalanced relationships with children and very young women to avoid facing their own wounds is inherently harmful to everyone involved and has nothing to do with our species biology. It's just men being taught to confuse having power over someone with being in a healthy, balanced relationship. Put succinctly, it's patriarchy, and it hurts us all.